Martin Truex Jr has not had the best season this year. Going to Bristol, Truex was in a very difficult position in the playoffs. He was outside the cutoff and needed a good result during the final race of the round of 16. However, the number 19 driver made a shocking error that has impacted his entire season. And your interest in our videos has impacted not only us, but our entire community of NASCAR fans. Just hit that subscribe button to join our community so we can keep you up to date on the latest news regarding NASCAR. During the race, Martin Truex Jr was running in a decent position with strategy and on track. But with 170 laps to go, the crew called him into the pits for his final stop of the race. While coming in, Truex was not able to slow down his car enough to stick to the pit lane speed limit. He was 0.09 miles per hour over the speed limit as he crossed the pit line. This earned him a penalty that put him at the back of the field for the final stint of the race. Due to this, he was unable to fight back and get enough points to qualify for the next round. This is a huge setback for Martin Truex Jr and Joe Gibbs Racing. After the race, Truex said, "It's really tough when it's 0.09 miles per hour that kind of screws your whole chance at a good season up. I don't know how that happened. I didn't even know I was that close, honestly. I felt like I did the same thing as every other stop. Sometimes you're just a foot to the left. It's so tricky when you're going from that curved section to the straight. It's on me, obviously, my mistake. They said we were going to have to run second or third there to have a chance, and I don't know if we could have done it, but it would have been nice to see. Just really sad for my guys. They work so hard. We had really a strong car tonight. We got a lot of stage points. We did what we needed there. Just hate I screwed it up. I wish we could have at least seen if we could have done it. Would have been fun to have a fighting chance. You never like to let anybody down, no matter the situation. I hate that I did that tonight," he concluded in his interview with NBC. A gap of 0.09 miles per hour is almost unrecognizable. Hence, Martin Truex Jr had no idea that he had exceeded the pit lane limit when it happened. This was just an oversight error where he braked a fraction of a second too late. That's how close NASCAR racing is. This instance is a perfect example of how difficult it is to drive in NASCAR. The drivers will have to know exactly how much the car can handle and how much it can't. There's no room for error in such a sport. Martin Truex Jr is perhaps one of the most experienced drivers on the NASCAR grid. Despite this fact, he made such a silly mistake that cost him to potentially qualify for the next round of the playoffs. No one expected him to make a mistake that was so small and silly. If he hadn't made this mistake, Truex may have had the chance to advance to the next round. But this just wasn't his season. Although Martin Truex was in the playoffs this season, he's not had a good year. Throughout the season, he has not won a single race, despite racing for Joe Gibbs Racing, where all his teammates have won at least one race. After Bristol, Truex Jr is not the only JGR driver to have lost or been knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. His teammate Ty Gibbs was also not able to make the cut. Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin are the only JGR drivers to have qualified to the next round. But even Denny Hamlin had a rough 3 races. After Atlanta and Watkins Glen, Hamlin was below the cutoff and was at risk of losing his sport unless he delivered a clean race at Bristol. And that's exactly what he did. He finished P4, which gave him the push needed to qualify. Martin Truex Jr finished his playoff run in 15th position while Ty Gibbs finished 13th. While Gibbs will be looking forward to competing once again next year, the same cannot be said for the number 19 driver. This is it for Martin Truex Jr.'s season. But not just his season, his career. That's right, earlier this year, Truex Jr announced that he would be retiring from the sport after this season. He dedicated the last 18 years to NASCAR racing, and he has accomplished a lot in the process. Martin Truex Jr is probably one of the most smooth and consistent drivers on the grid. He's done a lot for his old team, Furniture Row Racing, and his current team, Joe Gibbs Racing. Truex has won 34 Cup Series races, 2 Xfinity championships, and 1 Cup Series championship. Ever since he joined Joe Gibbs Racing in 2019, Truex has been a rock for the team. He delivered consistent performances throughout his time with the team. Truex Jr is known for his smooth, methodical driving style. He excels on intermediate tracks and has earned a reputation for being a master of 1.5-mile speedways, where strategy and tire management play crucial roles. His late race consistency often puts him in a position to win, especially during long green flag runs. Even this year, Truex was one of the most consistent drivers without a race win. Last weekend at Watkins Glen, Truex was asked about his slump this season. To this, he said, "It's not a lack of speed. It's a lot of different things. You call it a slump. Great players get in slumps in other sports, and that is what I feel like it is. I feel like we're doing a lot of good things. We have a lot of speed and put ourselves in position. We just have to put it all together. Some days I make mistakes. Some days the team makes mistakes. Some days, last week, we got caught up in an accident. There's been a lot of that. Just have to put it together on one day, and hopefully that is this weekend," he said. There's no doubt that Truex Jr was a very capable driver. After all, he is a former Cup Series champion. However, this year he was not able to keep up with his teammates. Some speculate that Truex has lost his edge, and that's why he's retiring from the sport. Although Martin Truex will retire after this season, we may still see him drive next year as a part-time driver to take part in some of his favorite tracks. Plus, we still have another 7 races to go this year. Although he's not in the playoffs, he will continue to participate in the races. But his final position in the championship is confirmed. His role for the remainder of the season would be to help Hamlin and Christopher Bell win the championship. That's going to be the goal for Joe Gibbs Racing. Both of these drivers have not won a Cup Series championship yet. While it is understandable why Bell has not won a championship yet, it's quite shocking to hear that Hamlin has never won the title. He's been in the sport for almost 20 years and has been competitive throughout. Despite this, things have never gone his way to perform when necessary. Hamlin's best finishing position in the playoffs is second, which he achieved in 2010. As NASCAR heads into the last stretch of the season, playoff contenders will be fighting for every point. The playoff field is tight, and every race matters for advancing through the rounds. With drivers like Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, and Christopher Bell already proving strong, every race adds to the tension. Favorites can be knocked out, and underdogs can steal wins, reshuffling the points leaderboard. The final 7 races feature a wide variety of tracks, from super speedways to short tracks to road courses, which challenge drivers in different ways. With only 7 races remaining, the playoff elimination format adds pressure at each event. After every 3 races, 4 drivers are cut from the playoffs. These cut-off races, like Charlotte and Martinsville, are particularly stressful, as one bad finish can end a driver's championship hopes. The desperation to avoid elimination leads to more aggressive, dramatic racing. 7 races to go and anything can happen. NASCAR doesn't get any more exciting than this. Out of all the drivers, Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, and Kyle Larson stand the best chance to win the title. But there's absolutely no way to predict it. Joe Gibbs Racing will want Martin Truex Jr. and Ty Gibbs to start helping out Hamlin and Bell for the title. Who do you think will win the Cup Series title this year? Post your thoughts in the comments section below.